There were 11, which is an NCAA record, pre-Sweet 16 upsets. But there are currently 4, which is short of the record. BT and I talked about this a couple of days ago. Short of the record for Sweet 16 teams in double digits. But there are 4 of them. And of those 4, Oral Roberts is one. We've been talking about them a lot. Oregon State, obviously, is there as 2. Syracuse and UCLA. Of those 4, which has the greatest chance in your mind because of either team structure or coaching experience, whatever it may be, to be that team that surprises us and gets to the Final Four?
I think it's Syracuse. And the reason is because they're an 11 seed in a Midwest region that has really opened up. I mean, Houston's still there as the 2 seed, but the 1 seed is gone, the 3 seed is gone, the 4 seed is gone, the 5 seed is gone, the 6 seed is gone, the 7 seed is gone. You know, like, if you can get past Houston, you know, and that's not going to be easy, although it should be noted, you know, one of Houston's key players, Dejan Giroux, is dealing with an injury where he is expected to play, but not expected to be at 100%. Kelvin Sampson has put it more at like 70, 75%. So when you've got, you know, a region that's opened up for you, in other words, most of the monsters are out of the bracket, and you've got that matchup zone that Syracuse runs so well, that becomes problematic for opponents in this event for a variety of reasons. And then you've got somebody shooting the ball like Buddy Boeheim. I mean, I promise you, I never thought I was going to say these words in my entire life, but it's not crazy to think Buddy Boeheim could shoot Syracuse to a Final Four. We've seen guards carry teams all the way to the final weekend before, and right now he looks like a reasonable candidate to do it because, and it's a remarkable story. This is somebody who was considered a Patriot League level player coming out of high school, but decided he wanted to go play for his dad, for better or worse. And now he's the best player on his dad's team and one of the best players in this bracket. He's averaging 28 points per game in Syracuse's past 4 games. I think Orange fans can reasonably look forward to possibly, you know, going even further in the bracket than they already are.
And by the way, we're talking to Gary Parrish. We had Jim on the show yesterday, Coach Boeheim. I want to move to some other stuff, but quickly, do you view Buddy as a fringe NBA prospect?
Listen, I mean, you watch that league as much as anybody. You know that, you know, guards with size who can really shoot it got jobs in that league right now.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is about spacing and shot making. And so, you know, I don't think he's going to, you know, enter the 2021 NBA draft and be a lottery pick.
No.
But if you told me right now, we'll look up in 3 years and Buddy Boeheim is making shots for somebody in the NBA, that's not crazy to me. He's 6'6". He's a terrific shooter. That's a great place to start.
What a story. So can you do us a favor? I think this would be pretty unique, and, you know, you can pull back the curtain more so than Tiki and I can pertaining to this part. Oral Roberts, right? They win the first game. They win the second game. They're in the Sweet 16. Gary, what is the economic impact for that program? I know they'll get a ton of money and then disperse it, I would imagine, to most of the athletic department, if not all of it, Title IX, et cetera, and they'll keep a chunk for themselves. Clearly, the conference will win out. They'll get some extra money. But what does that do in terms of galvanizing the finances for a school like Oral Roberts, who hasn't been there since 1974 or been there since 74, whatever it is, 74, 75? How much cash are they making here?
It's real money. Like, I believe the most recent estimations are somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million. Every win is worth that. Wow. And then it goes to your league, and it is subsequently dispersed. But, you know, when you're talking about Ohio State or Texas, maybe that doesn't matter that much. But when you're talking about Oral Roberts, like that's program-changing money. Like, it allows you, if you want to, you know, buy some opponents for November, December in your non-conference schedule. Yeah. It allows you, if you want, to maybe get a charter to a road trip every once in a while. It can enhance your recruiting budget. You know, the trick becomes now, like when you're Oral Roberts and you are experiencing this very unique thing, becoming just the second 15 seed ever to make the Sweet 16, like it's all good on a surface level. The problem, of course, is that your head coach becomes a candidate for better jobs based on the notoriety he's getting. So the only other time we've seen this, a 15 get to the Sweet 16, is Florida Gulf Coast back in 2013 with Andy Enfield. Like 3 days after Florida Gulf Coast season ended, he was the new head coach at USC. Now, I'm not predicting that for Paul Mills, but, you know, if you wanted to play dominoes, if Scott Drew did actually end up as the head coach at Indiana, Paul Mills was one of his assistants at Baylor. he would obviously be on the list to replace Scott at Baylor, and then Oral Roberts is starting from scratch. But that's not to take away from what's happening right now. This is really an awesome story.
You mentioned, you mentioned Baylor, but they're playing Villanova, and I've said a few times on the show, I've seen them play a lot this year. And it's not a vintage Villanova team. It's just not. I mean, especially with Colin Gillespie out. Gillespie out. That is when he tore his ACL, and he's been out about a month or so. I didn't think they'd be here in the Sweet 16. I think that, listen, nothing trumps winning a championship, and Jay Wright has 2 of them. But if there was anybody out there that wasn't fully convinced that Jay Wright's one of the best coaches by far in America, he's doing this without one of the co-conference players of the year, a senior leader. I mean, Jay Wright is he's amazing, Gary. He is absolutely amazing to me.
Terrific. I mean, I was actually asked this morning who's the best coach left in this bracket, and you could make an argument like for Jim Boeheim. He's a Hall of Famer, for crying out loud. Mark Few would get some votes. Dana Altman might get some votes. Kelvin Sampson probably gets some votes. But I think the correct answer is probably Jay Wright. And I'm with you. I didn't think Villanova would be able to get to a Sweet 16 after losing not just its best player, but its point guard and its leader.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole lot to overcome. But I remember on Selection Sunday, I talked to Jay, and they had just lost their last 2 games and to unranked teams. And he seems so relaxed. So, like, it's amazing what 2 national titles can do to your sense of perspective, because he's just like, he's in a good place. And he was like, listen, we lost 2 games. That's true. We lost 2 games by a total of 3 points. So if we make a shot or get a stop, maybe we're 2-0 without Colin Gillespie, and people are talking differently about us. As for this game, I think it's too much to overcome. I think this is the one where not having Colin Gillespie matters, because, Baylor's big, Baylor's strong, Baylor's old, Baylor really guards. It's just going to be hard for your backup point guard to get you where you need to be if you're Villanova. But, regardless of whether it ends here or not, Jay Wright building what he's built at Villanova and marching this team, which is, you're exactly right, not a vintage Villanova team, into the Sweet 16 is pretty good stuff.